Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadhyasya yato anvayaditaratascha artheshu abhignaswarat Tene Brahmahridaya adikavaye muhyanti yatsurayah Tejo vari mridam yatha vinimayo yatra trisargo mrisha Dhamna svena sada nirastakohakam satyam param dhimahi Nigamakalpataror galitam phalam shukamukad amrutadrava sanyutam Pibata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam Muhuraho Rasika Bhuvi Bhavukaha. We now enter the 70th chapter of the 10th Skandha of Bhagavatam. Shuka Brahmam continues, and in this chapter, he gives the daily routine of Krishna. So, in the last chapter, we saw a semblance of this when Narada came and he saw Krishna in every single mansion with each of his queens, and in each mansion engaging in different activities. Now, Shuka Brahmarishi describes in one sequence all the activities Krishna does. So it says here, Shuka Brahmarishi says, as dawn approaches, Krishna wakes up, much to the, one can say, sadness of the wives of Krishna, because they are in the embrace of Krishna in the night, and therefore, as the dawn approaches, they are sad that Krishna is going to be separated from them. There is the beautiful sounds of the birds in the garden and the bees humming, and that wakes up Krishna very gently before dawn. And Rukmini did not like this sacred hour, it is said. Normally, the hour before dawn is called the Brahma Muhurta, the sacred hour, and Krishna always gets up in this time to again set an example. Rukmini, though, the main queen, has all the other queens as well, who are normally very auspicious and who normally would like the sacred hour, but because they would be torn away from the embrace of Krishna, it is said that they did not welcome the sacred hour in those days. Because Krishna would wake up promptly in the sacred hour before sunrise in Brahma Muhurta, he would first wash his hands and feet and then sit silently in meditation, it is said. Again, Krishna is setting an example for everyone by meditating on the pure being, which is his own self. So it is said that Krishna meditates on the pure being, the indestructible self-luminous, which is the source of all the potencies that causes the appearance, maintenance, and destruction of the universe. And after sitting in this silent meditation for some time, it is said that Krishna would go and take a plunge in cold water. So, again, every single step Krishna does is perfect in terms of how to have a morning routine. So, Krishna sets an example. So, he takes a plunge, having a bath in cold water, pure cold water, and then he puts on his neat clothes, yellow clothes, and then he performs the Vedic ritual of Sandhya, that is the mantras that are done as dawn approaches, and then he does the Gayatri mantra. And then after that, the sun rises and he stands before the rising sun and looks at the sun as it rises, and he offers worship to all the rishis and all the forefathers and so on. In fact, it is said even now, scientifically also, that looking at the sun first thing in the morning is considered very healthy. So every single thing Krishna does is healthy at all levels, physically as well as in having inner peace. So he is setting an example for everyone by having this routine, and that is why Shuka Brahmarishi describes this routine so that we can follow. So he looks up at the rising sun, as it is said, and offers prayers to all the forefathers, who are all actually his own expansions. And then he honors the elders of the family. So he would go to his mother and father, Devaki and Vasudeva, the grand uncle Ugrasena, his own elder brother Balaram, and so on. He would honor all the elders, and then the Brahmanas, the priests, and then he would give them, the Brahmanas especially, he would give them various things such as silk cloths and cows, which are very nicely decorated and which yield abundant milk. And then he would salute the cows, the brahmanas, the elders, the gurus, everyone, because all of them are very auspicious. The cows are auspicious, the priests are auspicious, the elders are auspicious, the gurus are auspicious. So he would salute all of them in the morning. Then he would put on ornaments, various garlands and ornaments and sandal paste and so on. Then he would look himself in a mirror. Then he would first look at the cows and brahmanas, and then he would offer various boons to people who approach him in the morning, the people who are servants in the mansions and so on. Then he would take some light food, and he would, before even taking it, he would offer it to the other brahmanas as well as his friends and relatives, and then he would take it at last. And then, after all this is done, he would go outside, and his charioteer, his driver Daruka, would be waiting with his wonderful chariot drawn by four beautiful horses, and he would salute the Lord. And then Krishna would enter the chariot, mount the chariot, along with his friends Satyaki and Uddhava. So, even in the very first Skandha, we saw how Krishna came from Hastinapur back to Dwaraka exactly with Satyaki and Uddhava in his chariot. So, they are his constant companions, Uddhava especially. So, with them, he would mount the chariot, and then, as all the beautiful ladies all look at him affectionately but also sadly that he is going away for the day, we can remember how the gopis in Vrindavan, similarly, when he would leave in the morning to go taking the cows for pasture, all the gopis were sad and they would sing. There was the famous Yugala Geetam where the gopis sang in verses describing their separation. Here too, the beautiful women of Dwaraka have a similar separation because Krishna goes to court. And it is said that Krishna enters court, which is the hall called Sudharma. It's a beautiful, opulent hall, the palace hall, where he goes and he sits in the throne. And it's a very splendorous throne, and all the great princes of the Yadu dynasty are all surrounding him. And then various entertainers come. It is said that gestures come and they perform, dancers come and perform, magicians come, singers come. So, in this way, various kinds of artists who are able to sing, dance, make poems, play the flute, play the conch, all of them will come and perform. Then the Vedic mantras will be chanted, and then some Brahmanas would narrate the ancient itihasa stories and so on. So, this is the regular routine. And then the day's affairs will be conducted in the palace as well in terms of governing the kingdom, whether it involves handling war situation, peace settlements, or treasury situation, all the rest. So, one day, as an example, it is said that a messenger comes into the court, and with joined palms he offers his obeisances, and then he communicates a message. This is from kings who are incarcerated by the evil king Jarasandha. So we saw Jarasandha already, who attacked Krishna 18 times, and 17 times his troops were decimated, and the 18th time he was spared. So that same Jarasandha, then we also saw, came and supported Shishupala, and he was defeated again when Krishna took away Rukmini. So this Jarasandha is up to no good, and so he is still doing some nasty things. Now he has incarcerated 20,000 kings who are all devotees of Krishna. So they have somehow secretly sent this messenger with a message, and this message is very beautiful. They first offer a prayer to Krishna. They say, Krishna Krishna Aprameya Atman Prapanna Bhayabanjana Vayam Tuam Sharanam Yamo Bhavabhita Pritagdhyah. They say, O Krishna, O embodiment of truth, of immeasurable potencies, the one who destroys the fear of anyone who takes refuge in you. We have surrendered unto you, and you are our only refuge. And even though they say that we have a sense of separation, so they acknowledge that even though we are attached to the body, we have surrendered unto you, and therefore you have to support us. Then they describe the nature of people in general. They say people generally are addicted to only their self interest, and they ignore recognizing you as the source and sustenance of all. They ignore recognizing that it is your divine will that makes everything happen, and yet, because they are caught in self interest in me and mine, they lose their time, and suddenly you, again in the form of time, take away their lives. Therefore, you are the Lord of the universe, and now you have appeared, especially in this avatar with Balaram, to protect the virtuous and chastise the wicked. So, therefore, we are a little bewildered as to how this Jarasandha is still alive. So, that's what they want to communicate. They say this Jarasandha is the wicked of all the wicked, and he is still tyrannizing us. He is still doing all kinds of evil acts. And since your very mission is to get rid of the wicked, he needs to be gotten rid of. And also, people like us who are surrendered unto you, we ought to be protected. We seek your protection. Of course, we are aware that we are attached to our kingdoms, as already said. We are attached to the sense of separation in our own way as well. And we think we are the rulers. We don't have yet the full wisdom to recognize that you alone make everything happen and everything is your divine will. But we surrender unto you, and we want to just express to you our situation that we are bound by this Jarasandha who is so powerful. He has rounded us all up like a lion would round up sheep, and therefore you only can protect us. You have already decimated him 17 times, but because the 18th time you spared him, he thinks he won you, he won over you the 18th time, and he is puffed up with pride. So you have to do what is right to get rid of him and protect us. So when these words were given by the messenger, all the Yadus wanted to help them and have Krishna go and kill Jarasandha. Meanwhile, just at that very moment, very surprisingly, the celestial sage Narada appears. So Narada, we saw, just left some time back. Normally, he wouldn't come back immediately, but he comes back, and he comes back looking dazzling like the sun. And as soon as he comes back, of course, as we saw in the last chapter too, Krishna instantly gets up, bows down to the great Rishi, and then offers him an honorable seat, and then serves him, and then asks him in very sweet words, how are everyone doing? How is the whole world? You bring us all the news. And then Krishna knows why he has come. So he says, now I know you have come from the Pandavas. So what news do you bring? So Narada now speaks very gently again. He says, oh Krishna, you are such a great magician that even beings like Brahma are unable to understand your veil of Maya. You abide in the hearts of all created beings, just as fire remains latent in every log of wood. And your Maya is inconceivable. I have already seen it with my own eyes, as you know. So he is referring to how Krishna was present in 16,000 palaces at the same time. So Narada says, I have already witnessed your Maya. You bring forth your divine will by which you sustain this universe and you destroy it. So no one can know your intentions. People are constantly caught in the illusion of separation, taking themselves to be the body, and thereby they are constantly going through suffering. And only to relieve that suffering you have appeared, so that people can develop devotion in their heart and be free of the ego, and thereby realize you as the source of all. So therefore I only seek you for protection always, and you know everything. But now Narada, after having glorified the Lord beautifully like this, he says, because you ask me why I have come, I'll tell you. So Narada says, of course you know everything. So every time Krishna asks something we see this in many situations. It's only for the benefit of others. So Krishna already knows. So that's why Narada says, you already know everything, but because you ask me, as if imitating the ways of other humans, I shall communicate to you. I've come indeed from your cousin and your loving devotee, Yudhishthira, the head of Pandavas, and he is ruling in Indraprastha. We already saw this, how Krishna helped the Pandavas build the city of Indraprastha, which is the present day Delhi, by the way, and how he also helped them set up their palace and all the rest. So here Narada says that Indraprastha is like paradise, and Yudhishthira is ruling there very perfectly. And the only thing he desires to do now is he wants to do the supreme sacrifice of Rajasuya. So Rajasuya is a very supreme sacrifice done by the great emperors to declare their sovereignty over the whole land. So he wants to do this sacrifice and he's inviting everyone, but he of course wants it to be done in your presence. So he has sent me especially for that purpose. Everyone is going to come there, all the rishis, all the various kings, they're all going to come and they will all want to worship you, seek your presence, behold you and worship you. That is why they are all coming as well. And you are an embodiment of the Supreme Being. Just seeing you, talking about you, hearing about you purifies everyone. Therefore, it is no wonder that everyone wants to see you in that sacrifice. Narada says, Shravanat, Kirtanat, Dhyanat, Puyante, Ante, Vasayinah. He says, Shravana by listening, Kirtanat by glorifying, Dhyanat by meditating upon you, Puyante, purified. Everyone gets purified. Even the ones who are very vile, simply by listening about you, they get purified. What to speak of those who are pious kings and so on. Therefore, your presence is sought by Yudhishthira there, and you need to come there. In fact, your presence hallows the whole world. It hallows the heaven and earth. It is what flows as the pure Ganga on this earth. So your presence is in fact everywhere, but still you have to come there to bestow your grace as Yudhishthira has requested through me. So when Narada says this, now there are two conflicting requests. There is the messenger who has come asking for Krishna to help with killing Jarasandha. And there is the message of Narada requesting Krishna to go to Indraprastha to attend the Rajasuya Yajna. So all the princes of the Yadava clan, they are actually in preference of conquering Jarasandha because it's an unfinished business, as already mentioned, and therefore they did not want to go with what Narada has said. They instead wanted first to go and finish off Jarasandha. And yet Narada, being a supreme sage, one has to take his words very carefully. So Krishna looks at the situation and then very smilingly he speaks to Uddhava. Uddhava is his dear friend, as we know. So Krishna tells Uddhava, you are our true friend and you are very wise and you know the secret of what needs to be done at any given moment. Therefore, with your perfect vision, tell what needs to be done and we'll go by that. So here again, Krishna, of course, he just wants to demonstrate to the world how Uddhava is a very wise friend, and that is why he gives him the opportunity to resolve this conflict by telling Uddhava very beautifully. He says, Tvam hi nah paramam chakshuhu. He says, you have the supreme vision. Sukhran mantrartha tattvavid. So you know the right thing to be done at any situation. Tata atra brahuna anushteyam shraddadamah karavamatat. So whatever needs to be done, you tell us now and we'll do it. So very nicely, Krishna offers this leadership to Uddhava, his friend. Even though Krishna knows exactly what needs to be done, he just offers this opportunity for Uddhava to reveal his wise counsel. So when thus asked by Krishna, Uddhava will now reveal his counsel very beautifully. So we'll see what Uddhava says, and based on that, what happens to both Jarasandha as well as to the Rajasuya sacrifice of Yudhishthira in the next few chapters. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.